Welcome everybody to the Murdock Manwaring Cardon monthly market update, where we go over the real estate market for Southeast Idaho, and we're going to go over October of 2024. So we're into November now. We're looking back at the month now that we've gathered all the stats. Thanks for joining us. We are covering 4 counties: Bonneville County, Jefferson County, Bingham County, and Madison County. So if you don't know, all of Southeast Idaho is encompassed in our area, in our market. So let's get rock and roll. Let's take a look at what October of 2024 looked like. We're going to start with Bonneville County. Super interesting trend. We were up in actual closed home sales by 21%, which is super interesting. Did you guys feel that? We've got the whole team on here to give you their thoughts and ideas. Buyers agents, did you feel an increase in buyer activity in October and probably September?
I think the most interesting thing seeing those numbers isn't so much necessarily how busy I've been individually, but the perception of the public, the feedback I've gotten that the market's really slowing down and we have to wait and see what's going to happen. And if you look at the numbers, it's just not the case actually.
Yeah, it's not
Yep.
slowing down. It has been slower, but it's definitely not slowing down now.
Sure,
Yeah.
for sure.
I think that this indication, so when we look at home sales, that's when they actually closed. They closed in October, which means they were going under contract in September, marketing through the summer. So I think a lot of people, we always see October as a little bit of a pickup, because September, they're like, kids are getting into school, they're settling in from the summer, and people start getting more serious on buying homes. So it was a 21% increase. And we did see interest rates come down a little bit last month. So, was that an indicator? Who knows? Well, what is super interesting is that we've got new listings in October. It's down 1.5%, but pretty flat. We're only a 3-house difference from the year before. So we had about the same number of houses come on as last year, but we are up in number of closings, which means we should have an increase in inventory as a result of that. With more homes selling and not any more homes coming on, that should add a little bit to our inventory, which always, is great for buyers to have a little more choices as they go out and look at homes. Days on market, this is how long from the day that the house hits the market until it goes under contract. It stayed pretty much flat. 43 days on market, which, by the way, historically, if you don't know, is still a pretty good days on market. Pretty good days on market. How long is it taking for homes to sell? So overall in the market, about 43 days. So you can expect your home to be on the market about 6 weeks on average. Now, what is really interesting is home prices. So home prices were up in Bonneville County 9.1%. So this is I thought really interesting, because a lot of people think if the market is slower, like you can see, we don't have as many houses coming on the market. But when the market goes up 21% in closings, there's buyers buying, but the prices also went up. So that's kind of, normally when there's a lot more buyers, prices settle in because the buyers are in control, but not necessarily an indication. Now, does that mean your home went up 9%? Not necessarily. It's just an average of October of 2023 versus the homes sold in October 2024. We could have had a large home or a large transaction this year that bumped that up, but on average, I still feel like prices are increasing. I don't know how everyone else feels, but I do see that there's nobody lowballing and winning offers, I don't think. Anybody have any thoughts on that, buyers agents? Okay, so this, when I see as on with listings, if the sellers that I represent generally aren't really still willing to come down on price, they're holding pretty firm. So we see those home prices holding steady and even increasing. So if you're worried that it's going to crash, this is not an indication that it is. Our interest rates also really good over last year in October. We are down on interest rate 1.2%. Okay, buyers agents, how much buying power does every 1% of interest rate change give your buyer to buy? How much more buying power do they have? Who's got that?
11%.
11%. Brett, can you explain what that means?
So if you have an interest rate of 4% and you're pre-approved at $300,000 and your interest rate goes down to 3%, then your purchasing power, and it is equivalent to your monthly payment as well, is going to go down on your monthly payment, but can increase your purchasing power on your total approval amount. So easy math on 300,000 would be $33,000 that you're going to approve over that, due to that shift in the percentage rate is huge.
Yep, I love that. If you're looking to maintain the same payment, how much you can buy increases 11% for every interest rate point it goes down.
It's the
So you see
biggest
a big
Black
shift. So
Friday
that's a
sale of
nice
all
shift.
time when
What was
rates go
that,
down.
Chad?
It's the biggest Black Friday sale of all time when rates drop down big.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Love that. And so that leads us to our absorption rate. And the absorption rate is what we call our inventory, our months of inventory. How many months of inventory, if no other houses came on the market and we kept selling homes at the same rate that we did in October of 2024, when would we be out of houses? We're up a little bit to 0.6 months to 2.8 months of inventory. Overall, still a buyer's market. That means when in a negotiation, who has the power? Who gets the better deal? Right now, a seller's market. We are in a seller's market. It does not move to a buyer's market till we're above 6 months, which means we have more buyers, more houses to choose from and less buyers. The buyers are in control. We are in a seller's market. There's less houses and more buyers to buy them. The sellers are in control.
Yeah. So that's a good number to just know if you're looking at one thing on here, look at absorption rate. Am I in a buyer or seller? I'm looking for the number 6. If it's less than 6, sellers are winning, right? If it's more than 6, buyers have way more things to choose from. And so it's a buyer's market. And
Yeah.
so with all these things combined, rates are going down, things are more affordable for a buyer in this market. Prices are increasing. We are higher in Bonneville County. Man, those home sales, that is a crazy thing to see 21% more this year in October than last year in October.
Well, we were at that peak, 7.6% interest rate. That was a really high peak in interest rate. So last year, it may not be an indication that we've got a significant more selling. It's just we may have had a really low month in October with those rates last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let's move on and let's just kind of look at the overview here. This gives you an idea of where we're at on active listings, active days on market per price range. So we just looked at the whole overall market, but that isn't necessarily an indication for you. You want to look at a snapshot of where you are in that market, and there are markets within the market. And that really has to do with prices. So as you look here and take a look at the number of active listings and the days on market, then it shows the number of pendings. When you compare the active number of active listings versus the pendings, and you get that pending ratio, how many of the homes that are selling are under contract? The ones that have more pendings, so your lower number on the pending ratio, that's a hotter market. Homes in that price range are selling more. If you've got a bunch of active listings and not very many pendings, homes are sitting on the market. So as you look at your area, as you get above 600,000, look at the number of pendings versus the homes under 500. If you're looking at what's moving in Southeast Idaho, that number of pendings in relation to number of actives is really key. So the lower the percentage, that means there's just a lower, you're going to sit a little bit longer. And that should correlate right there to the days on market. Take a look at 7 to 800, 156 days on market. If you're in that $700,000 to $800,000 price range. But if you're looking to move your house between 350 and 400, there's only 35 homes on the market and you got 23 homes pending. That's a hot market, hot market. And interestingly enough, lowest days on market. So that's a really good indicator of how to look at this chart.
Awesome. Let's move to Bingham County. Same stats. Last year in October, there was 26 houses. This year, 38 houses. So percentage-wise, 46% is a big jump. And we're also seeing there, which is different than Bonneville County, we're seeing more listings come on the market. But those listings that are coming on the market are taking longer to sell. So our initial read of what's going on is days on market. That's going to be our leading indicator to keep an eye on. Are things selling quickly, or are they taking a little bit longer to sell? And then if I'm a buyer, I'm going to approach things differently. As a seller, I need to, understand those things as well. And that's what we help provide that information to you with the current today's temperature in the market. Home prices are still up. Bonneville County, it had over 9% here. In Bingham, it looks like 3.8 is what we're seeing. Same rate, obviously, but that is helping. But there's more inventory sitting longer in Bingham County. So we're getting closer to that number 6, right? Remember that 6 is balanced. Below 6, we're still sellers, it's telling us, sellers market in Bingham County, but getting closer to that balanced area of that 6 number for buyers. So as we
I
see
think Bingham
more
County is
inventory come
interesting
on, yeah,
because you get a little more property in Bingham County sometimes, so your prices are a little higher. So, when you see those homes coming on the market, those average home prices, there's a kind of a point in Bingham County you can't go lower if they, because they have on the market just larger lots out there.
yeah. But look at one of the leading indicators, new listings that came on the market, right? So if they're sitting longer, days on market, our absorption rate probably will go up more. If the number of sales were decreasing, we'd have all 3 things against us. But homes are selling. We're up from last year, so hopefully absorption rate stays steady and the homes will continue to sell. Historically, the last 6 months, here's what's happening in individual price ranges. 250 to 300, look at that, 100% of list price. So sellers are listing properly, buyers are buying them at 100% of list price. As you get a little more expensive in this 450 to 500, look at that. There's some deals in there potentially, or people are overpriced to what they actually sell for at the end. 6 to 700, look at that, 90. They're only getting 96.4% of list price. So there could be some bargains, like Jessica's saying, a market within the market where if your specific scenario doesn't seem like it's a good time to buy or sell, well, maybe it isn't. But it might also be if you can understand some of the things that are happening in between the price points as well. So
Jeremy, I think to point out a really interesting line on that chart is the 4 to 450 range. If you look at that in the last 6 months, oh, there we go.
Oh my goodness.
Here we go.
There it is.
He's got it there. The 4 to 450 range, if we look at that absorption rate, right? You're saying watch for that absorption rate on the right.
Yeah.
It's the lowest absorption rate. You would think that the final price to the sale price should be like 100% with such low inventory, but look at that, it's not. And so that's an interesting correlation, that it's still 98.5, but it is the tightest market of all the markets. So really interesting, and it has the highest pending ratio.
Chad, I think taking us to, go ahead, Brett.
Oh, I was just kind of saying what stands out to me even more is how many of those price ranges are above 98% sell price to final list price, right? Pretty high, pretty good.
Yeah. Most crazy, yeah.
Still a strong market.
Jefferson, Chad, you doing the last 2?
Yep, let's do it. So for Jefferson County, we were down 10%. We had 20 sales last year in October, 18, which really, we're talking about, Bonneville County and down so much, and we're talking about like, what is it, 30? And here we're only talking about 2. So, I mean, it's pretty similar, but it is a 10% drop in home sales, a little slower this October over last. Listings are down by 1. So I'm going to call that one pretty much flat, but it's down 3%. So we're seeing not a lot of change. Jefferson's been a stable market, I would say.
Look at this one though. Holy cow.
This one here changes stuff. We went from 46 days on market to 75. So that's up 29 days. So basically some homes that sold had been on there for a while. And so they finally, got a buyer, dropped the price, did whatever, but eventually, but that took that up a lot. Between those 20 homes for that average to go up 29 days, that's a pretty big bump there. So,
and that feels like forever if you're trying to sell a house, right? 30 days can feel like a year.
Oh yeah.
So.
Yeah, for it to add like that. I mean, a week seems like forever, when you're selling a house. So with a lot of activity or no activity, both, it just seems, it takes a long time. So home prices though, I mean, that's a pretty big jump. I mean, we were at 464 last year in October and up at 505. So that's an 8.8% increase in value. And as Jess said before, that doesn't mean everybody saw an 8% increase in value. But from October to October, it was up 8%. So,
I have something
um,
that I've actually been thinking about on
yeah,
this slide in Bonneville
yeah,
County. With the interest rate dropping, about 1%, giving the buyer an 11% increase in buying power. It's interesting to see on both Jefferson and Bonneville where the home prices are up 8 to 10%, right? So that buying power is up 11%, but the home prices are also up, almost matching that same buying power.
Interesting.
that is interesting. That's a good
Less
point.
than the increase, right? Of 11%. That's a good point.
Well, I think everybody loves for the same price, you're usually approved for a certain payment. If you can get a little more house for that payment, man, that's a win.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I mean, I think Jefferson County for average sales price is the highest price market right now in Southeast Idaho. So year to date, it's been averaging about 500,000. So right around there. Okay, so moving on here with the real estate market overview. If you look at that 200 to 250, pending ratios of 100, that means that there's not a lot on there, so it's moving quickly. Things are going. So
Well, I think that's an indicator, Chad, like what you said. There's a little higher price point in Jefferson County. So anything down in that lower end, snapped up.
yeah, it's going. And if you look here at the amount of sell price to list price percentages, I mean 99.1% for 300,000, 400 to 500, 100% sell the list price. Even from 7 to 8, they had 10 closings and they maintained 100% sell price to list price. So the market's solid. It's pretty good. Pretty good market for sellers, even though absorption rate is climbing in Jefferson County. So moving on to Madison, we're flat, same amount of home sales in October of last year versus this year.
Is that a spooky number that they only sell 31 homes in October every year? Spooky?
Ooh, one a
A little
day.
spooky. Little spooky.
We'll see
Little
if it hits
spooky. One a day.
November, if there's 30 days
30.
half.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to follow that. So listings were down a lot though. This was probably the biggest drop out of all of our counties. There was not a lot of new listings. If you got your home on the market, you're one of the few. So it went from 53 to 22 listings. Days on the market also saw an increase from 51 to 70. So that's a nice little bump up there. Prices were down though. In October of last year, it's 398 and down to 390. So they actually saw prices actually being lower. And again, this is, I think, the only county that saw prices go down, year over year on a October basis. So absorption rate is climbing. We're seeing the market get a little more supply. Things are kind of, days on market is increasing. So we are moving more towards more supply in the market. Let's move on
So
to
if you live in Madison County and your neighbor is selling their house for way less, you're probably not gonna, than you think yours is worth. You're probably not gonna want to list it right now, is what these stats are telling me, right? Because listings are down.
Which means you might want to sell because there's less competition.
Less competition, and so it may be just the inverse of what you're thinking. It's not a good time to sell. Well, if you're only one of the 20 that came on instead of one of the 53, it may be a good time to list.
Especially if they sell 31 and only 22 new come on.
Right.
That should be tightening that inventory, which is interesting that it would have our absorption rate going up. It should be, we should be seeing that tighten, but maybe next month we will.
Next month, yeah, should show up. So we're in the middle.
And we typically see the seasonality this time of year going into the colder times when there are less listings, there are less sales, but also because there's less, you typically see a little stronger sell to list price because there's just less inventory. So as far as looking over here, I mean, what has stood out to me again is you're seeing a little bit more softening in Madison County on the sell price to final list price than you would with the other counties. We're still great. I mean, you're still getting, on average 98.5% from on any price range. but again, you gotta be priced right, because it's the ones that are priced right, the ones that are competitive, are the ones that are moving. Because you know you have your days on market on average is 86 to 115, but the ones that sell on average is about 60 days on market. So so there still is some good movement, and I don't know if there's anything else I want to share on these. Anything else jump out with anybody else?
I think that if someone's thinking whether it's a good time to buy or sell, the answer is always yes.
Yeah.
There's going to be something always that's about your market, and what we really need to do is get together and talk about where you're at and what your micro market is for you. And so it's, you don't look at the overall market to decide whether you sell or buy. You need to look at your specific market and your goals, and can the market give you your goals? Because you might be surprised.
I think too, to kind of reiterate what's already been said, but especially if you look at that like 350 to 400 range on this Madison slide, you know, averages on market 82, average days on market of the sold properties 59. That tells me that those homes were priced correctly. You know, I'd like to assume they had a great agent that knew the market, that told them where to price, and they followed their advice, right? But and it shows, you know, 99% list to sold ratio as well.
Yeah.
Yep. Cool.
I like it.
Yeah.
All right. If you
Well,
would like to
we've
get
got-
these stats in this video in your email every month, go to mmcidaho.com, click at the top, and get the newsletter, and you'll get the market stats each month. Join us next month for November.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thanks, everybody.